Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? And welcome to the podcast. This is the Sean Lowery Show, where I give my entrepreneurial insight and advice. And this week it's going to be about Shark Tank. I recently came across some reruns and clips of the show on my YouTube feed, and I was thinking this is a great show. So episode 27 is going to be about Shark Tank. And at the end, I'm going to bring on my superstar partner and my soon-to-be wife, Shelby. And just for fun, we're going to do our Shark Tank pitch for our Business United Monograms. So that's going to be at the end. But honestly, Shark Tank has taught me a lot about business. It's taught me a lot about valuations and how investors think. Mark Cuban, Kevin O'Leary, and others, they're so smart, and I give the show credit for a lot of my knowledge about business and investing, and I think that's the same for a lot of Americans who started watching the show. It kind of brought investing to the mainstream into businesses. But although I love the show, my main entrepreneurial insight is the worst thing about Shark Tank is people think they need money to start a business, and that's wrong. The first thing you need as an entrepreneur is to change your mindset. You got to be thinking that you're owed nothing, and you have to be clear about your vision, and you have to fight hard for every single element of it. And if you don't adapt that mindset and you don't actually become a machine or build a machine that's making money and profitable and knows what it's doing, then no amount of money will make you successful. The money added in won't help. And more importantly, it's also a dangerous mindset because if you build a hypothetical plan with employees and overhead and you think that all you need is money and that your plan is flawless, then you know nothing. You know, it's like a football team with a game plan. It's almost always changed throughout the game. Nothing goes as planned. And hiring and managing employees, that's such a challenge. So if you just hand a rookie entrepreneur money and say, hey, go hire a workforce, that money won't help without the knowledge of knowing what you're doing. So if you're starting as an entrepreneur and your first thought is that you need to go looking for money and that's your mindset, that can be a losing mentality. That's loser think. And that's my message and warning for entrepreneurs when it comes to Shark Tank. So another cool Shark Tank perspective that I got to see was I was actually in this entrepreneurship group in Charleston a year or two ago. And one of the guys in the group was this guy, Kevin, who was on Shark Tank. It was season 6, episode 18. And his product was Bev Boy. It's a beer koozie that floats in the water. And he actually got a deal with Damon. He was on the show and he actually got a hard time in the beginning. Kevin O'Leary gave him a hard time because he didn't like the business. And he said, my name's Kevin and your name's Kevin. I'm going to call you Zonk. So he got made fun of on the show. But then at the end, he got a deal from Damon. And he was pumped. And it went to the end credits. And he's like, I got a deal with a shark. And he chugged the beer. It was awesome. So I got to spend a lot of time with him. I did some business with him. I actually sold his Bev Boys on Amazon. And when I was talking to him, I was asking him, I was like, hey, if you could text Damon right now, would Damon text you back? Like, what's that like? What's your communication with him since he invested with you? And I was surprised. He told me that not only has he lost touch with Damon, he actually never even got a deal. He never got the money. The deal never went through. And I was so surprised when I heard that. And at the time, he was still working on Bev Boy. But I looked it up, and 73% of the people that got a deal on Shark Tank did not get the exact same deal. And this is from an article on Forbes. And it also said that 43% of the people that they talked to, their deals, they didn't come to fruition at all after the show. And this is what happened to Kevin of Bev Boy. He never got a deal from Damon at all, even though on the show, it looked like the deal went through. And at the time, he was still working on Bev Boy, but now I just looked, and I went to his website, and it's not even running anymore. So it's crazy. Just because you see someone get a deal on Shark Tank, that doesn't mean that they're successful. Although in that same article, I was surprised by this. It said about 87% of the businesses that they spoke to that didn't get a deal on Shark Tank that were still operating. So I'd be surprised to see if a couple more years pass, if that's still that high, because business is hard and businesses fail. And I've always talked about that with my company. And it was an interesting insight to see somebody and talk to somebody and get to know somebody from the show and see their business after the fact. And yeah, they didn't even get a deal. And he actually said that he made more money whenever there was a rerun. Whenever there was a rerun of his show and his website was going, he would get a bunch of traffic. So that was cool to see. But he kind of just went on the Shark Tank fame for a while. And as that fizzled out, the business isn't rolling anymore. So that is interesting, and it was a cool experience to see something behind the scenes with Shark Tank. So from the more entertainment perspective, what makes the show Shark Tank so great that I think is the personalities, the investors, the people. They're honestly smart entrepreneurs, and sometimes they're brutal. And it's kind of like American Idol, Simon Cowell in the beginning being mean to the contestants. Sometimes if the business is terrible, they're brutal, especially Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary. But I love seeing how these people think about businesses. And my favorite person is by far Mark Cuban. I honestly want Mark Cuban to run for president after Trump. I think he'd be so good. I think he's good with the TV. He's got that business background, and I think he would just be so smart. And I would love to see Mark Cuban run for president, but I saw that he had the most deals out of anyone by far. He has $34 million invested in Shark Tank companies. He's made 151 deals, and he's just so wise on the show. He's always the last one to talk. He lets everyone else go and make their pitches, the other sharks, and then at the end, he talks last. And they always say the wise man in the room talks last, and he's always the one to do that, and he comes in and gets the deal. I also love Kevin too. So Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, he's known to be the tough guy, the brutal business guy, no emotions, all about making money. And he actually has the least amount of deals on the show, which I was surprised to see. But I love him, and I've actually seen some of his business talks and speeches, and he's really smart about business. And I've learned a lot from him watching him on YouTube. The other thing I like about him is he's kind of like the host of the show. I think he's the funniest person, but he's also the host. He'll say, all right, usually when he's out of the deal, I guess, he says, all right, Lowery has this offer, Mark has this offer, Robert has this offer. What are you going to do? He lays it out for the person. He's kind of the host of the show. My least favorite shark is actually Robert. Robert, I don't know. I think he's like a wannabe Mark. And for some reason, he just annoys me. I don't know. He's corny. You know, you have to be kind of an entertainer to be one of those people on the show. And he's obviously a successful business person. I respect him. But I just think he's corny. For some reason, I just don't like him. And he's a wannabe Mark. My favorites on the show in order are number 1, Mark. Number 2, Kevin. Number 3, Lowery. I love Lowery. She's smart. She's brutal too when she needs to be. And she has a pitch for a lot of people that she has the QVC, and she's a woman's and does the women's products well. She'd probably be our best person for United Monograms. But Lori's great. She's number 3. Number 4 is Damon. He's funny. I feel like he doesn't do a lot of deals, but I like him. Number 5, Barbara. She's cool. And my last one's Robert. He's my least favorite shark. But I think they're all great, and they honestly are what make the show special. One thing you hear all the time on the show is that the people that are pitching to the sharks, they want to get a shark on their team. And that makes a lot of sense, especially if it's Lowery who's going to pitch a product on QVC, or Mark is going to sell something with the Dallas Mavericks, the NBA team he owns. If they have a way to get their product in front of a bunch of people, along with being on the actual show Shark Tank, where they get a huge attention for their product, that's obviously helpful, and that's one of the reasons Shark Tank is great. But I read that overall, the deals that the sharks give on average are no better than something a bank would give you. And with a bank, you don't have to give up any equity. And I saw that all the deals on Shark Tank, about 60% are products. That makes sense because they need the entrepreneur sharks help growing the business, but they also need that money in order to get more inventory and more warehouse space. So physical products make sense to scale. But overall, if you need the advisor, that makes sense. I had these business advisors, and they were not helpful, and they wanted me to pay them for just the advice. And I don't know if these sharks would give you the time and the advice. But, yeah, something to think about. So, Shark Tank, great show. And I'm going to bring Shelby on now, and we're going to do our United Monograms Shark Tank pitch. All right, so I've brought on Shelby to the podcast.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, it's your second time being on. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, thanks for
Got you on the
me.
schedule. But, yeah. I couldn't actually do this United Monograms Shark Tank pitch without you. So I had to bring you on because if we did go on the show, obviously you would be there as part of it.
Right.
So, yeah, we always kind of make fun of Shark Tank for their corny pitches.
I love the pitches, though. So
Yeah.
funny.
But, yeah, you're a Shark Tank fan, right?
Yeah.
All right,
absolutely.
cool. So we're going to do our pitch. We're going to be corny with it just for fun. And we're not going to, usually they would ask a lot of questions after. We're not going to answer a bunch of questions. We're just going to do the pitch and end the episode. And it's going to be fun. This is going to be heard by Mark Cuban, and he's going to call us up to invest. All right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hi, Sharks. I'm Shelby.
And I'm Sean.
And we're United Monograms.
We're seeking...
Wait, we have to say it together.
Oh, yeah, sorry. All right.
Sharks. I'm Shelby.
And I'm Sean.
And we're United Monograms.
And we're seeking a $750,000 investment for 10% of our Monogram personalized clothing e-commerce business.
Monograms have been a Southern tradition for generations. Our customers across America, especially in the sweet and classy Southern states, collect monogrammed clothing, shirts, hats, bags, you name it. Anything they can put their 3-letter monogram on, they want.
About 7 years ago out of college, I walked away from my first sales job with nothing but a credit card to start my business. I made my mom's small basement outside of Philadelphia my new headquarters, and I was determined to be an entrepreneur. I eventually found some success selling t-shirts online, and it wasn't long until my girlfriend at the time, a first-year kindergarten teacher, got involved and started doing girls' designs and really helping with the business. She noticed a lot of requests for monograms, did some research, and convinced me to get a small at-home embroidery machine. I recognized we had a great niche, market opportunity, and the rest is history. Today we have 14 industrial embroidery and DTG machines in our new home of Charleston, South Carolina.
We've come this far without giving up any equity, and we only want investors if we're going to grow to the next level. We want to use this money to get a new facility, an operations team, and grow our capacity for production of our beautiful monogrammed items.
We have thousands of products, hundreds of thousands of customers who have placed orders with us, and we're more than just a fad or a single product. We are a proven company.
So, Sharks, who wants to help us grow to the next level? What do you guys think? We're going to get the deal?
Yeah, we're definitely going to get the deal. All right, peace out.
Bye.